All right, welcome back to Chester Sneezed. Today I'm going to talk about my Bialosky Cub Photographer. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to jump through some of my favorite pictures. I'm going to show you 3 pictures today, the first of which is what looks to be a stream. Now, this is a picture from my bike rides with my dad. Now, I have to preface, I got this beautiful little camera when I was 5 years old. It's the same year the Fiftytwo Scorcher remote control car came out. I got it for Christmas. Still have it in the basement. It might still work, but enough on that. This beautiful little camera has the cutest way of taking pictures. You'll notice the pictures aren't great quality and they're not well composed. I was a 5-year-old, but you can slide this slide in the back up and then you pop the front up to give you your viewfinder, and then you look through it to see if that's what you want. And there's a cute little button right here in the back that you'd press, and then you can also wind the camera here on the front. So the first picture, like I said, holds a lot of nostalgia. I loved going on bike rides with my dad. We'd explore all over. And in fact, here on the Loveland Bike Trail, they used to have a monkey in a cage that would drink beer and smoke cigarettes. I realize that's not kid-friendly, nor is it friendly to animals, but I do remember as a kid seeing the monkey in a cage, and that was very strange. But we're not here to talk about monkeys in cages. We're here to talk about photography. My neighbor gave me this camera and a photo book, and I think it was just so cool to actually have my own camera. Now, 5 of the pictures were accidents, just random shots of trees. And that's because I was a 5-year-old, and I'm guessing I was very excited to just press the button. But my parents wouldn't let me use their cameras, rightfully so. When I was, I believe, 8, I took like 12 pictures of turtles on a log. I'll later show you that picture. It was apparently a fantastic shot because I took 12 pictures and took up half a roll of film. But this was my camera, and I was able to capture some pretty cool memories with it. And while it's a very basic viewfinder, it taught me the value of being careful with how many photos you take. We live in a digital age where people want burst shots, right? You take 1,000 shots and you pick the one you like. With film, as many of you know, you had to be a lot more careful. And this taught me a small lesson in being careful. Although all those cameras are digital cameras, I try not to be a burst shooter. I try to compose my shot before I take it, and I try to make sure that every shot is exactly how I want it, because once the shutter goes up and down, my photo is done. I don't post-process, I don't edit. Once that shutter is up and down, that's it. So any picture you see that I have, there's been no post-processing. That's why I call myself a digital purist, which I realize is a strange title, and we'll touch on that more later. But back to the pictures. One of the pictures you'll see is a picture of, I won't say who it is, but I actually like it. It's kind of avant-garde. You can see the lights coming over her shoulder. There's sparkles. It's a nice color. You can see the teeth. You can't tell who it is. It has some allure to it, right? I mean, for a 5-year-old, it's a pretty good picture. In fact, the composition's not bad. I mean, this had autofocus, which really was no focus at all. But I mean, I'd say that that's probably the coolest picture. But the picture that I like the most, that I think is the most significant, is the picture of my grandparents' red Oldsmobile. And it's a picture of their hood. I've always been fascinated with light and with reflections. And if you look closely at the hood, you'll notice that there is a beautiful reflection of the trees that I also took a lot of pictures of at a different time. But it's the reflections that caught my eye. Even as a 5-year-old, I was fascinated with light and reflections, and I was able to get a small picture of that with my tiny camera. So, takeaways from today. Don't be afraid to try things, to experiment, but don't be a burst shooter, and don't rely on editing to make your photos, not photos, to make your photos graphic images, because they're not photos if you edit them. try to actually take good pictures, compose them well. But we'll move on into that later. So please join me next time as I share more. I think I'll touch on one more film camera that I used, which was a camera that I brought to China with me, and I took some really cool pictures. I think we took 13 rolls of film between my dad and I. So that'll be harder to pick one favorite picture, but I'll do my best. I may show a few on the next one. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to find one of these beautiful little Bialosky Cub Photographer cameras, actually, if you know where I can get film, that would be fantastic, because I don't know where I'd find film. And it'd be kind of cool to have my daughter be able to use this as her first camera, if anyone can even still develop super tiny C41 film. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this journey. I look forward to sharing more of my experiences. Yeah, have a wonderful week. So one more thing I want to say. I realize my hair is crazy. That's not what I want to say. Never be afraid to give someone the gift of a camera, because you never know, even a small camera like that little Bialosky Cub Photographer camera inspired me in the ability to see that I had some artistic ability, really opened avenues later in life. So don't be afraid to encourage people to experiment with their cell phone, or even to buy them a real camera. And you have no idea how it might inspire them or reach them later. So yeah, I really want to say thank you to my neighbors for giving me that first camera. I would say that that's what set me on my path of loving photography.